Okay, so I'm going to walk you through how to make a rabbit cage that is 36 inches wide by 30 inches deep by 16 inches tall. All the details for this design you can find in Bob Bennett's book called Rabbit Housing. And the materials needed for this design is 1 inch by 2 inch welded wire mesh that is 36 inches wide. Then you'll also need 1/2 inch by 1 inch welded wire mesh that is 30 inches wide. You'll need some J-clips or hog rings. You'll also want to pick up something to keep the door closed once it's installed. Lots of different options to get for that. Also, you'll need a tape measure. You'll need heavy-duty wire cutters. You'll need a 3 foot to 4 foot piece of 2x4. You'll need a hammer. You'll need the J-clip pliers. And you'll just need a regular set of pliers as well. First, you're going to cut the 1x2 wire mesh into a piece that is 62 inches long. That'll make a shape of 36 inches wide by 62 inches long. And then I use my foot to hold one side of it down while I measure towards the other side. And you'll want to measure 62 inches. Once you've done that, you'll want to flatten the wire. You'll lay the wire on the floor and you'll stand on one end of it and you basically just walk toward the end, and as you get towards the end you're kind of lowering the end of the wire so that it's not such a harsh angle of a bend. You're basically just trying to reverse the bend that's happening on the other side. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you'll notice it does a pretty good job, and any little bends or bows you can just kind of go back and fix. With the wire then on the floor, you'll measure in 16 inches and then lay the 2x4 across the wire. And then I put my knees on the board to keep pressure down and then hammer the wire flat against the board all the way across. Once you've done that, you'll repeat the same process on the other side. You're going to need to make another cut out of the 1x2 wire, so go ahead and take off all the wire loose ends and then roll it back out, and you're going to measure 30 inches out, which will give you a 30 inch by 36 inch piece of wire. And once you've cut it all the way across, you're going to flatten it just like the previous step. Once you've done that, you're going to measure 16 inches from each side and cut all the way across. And measure 16 inches from the other side and repeat the same process. This is going to give you your two side pieces. Once you've done that, you're going to lay all your pieces out on the floor, and you're going to get your J-clips or your hog rings and your pliers for those, and you're basically going to fasten them together. It doesn't have to be super tight. These pliers that I have are actually pretty much the cheapest pair that you can find. There's many other kinds out there that are much better. Sometimes I actually have to go back and use a regular set of pliers to kind of crimp them down a little bit more. The only piece that I really try to really make sure is super tight, obviously, is going to be the floor, which we'll get to. So once you have all sides fastened, you're going to take the 1/2 inch by 1 inch mesh wire and you're going to roll it out. And we're going to cut a piece that is 36 inches wide by 30 inches wide. So depending on your width, it will determine what cut you need to make. But again, that's 36 inches wide by 30 inches. Once you've cut that, you're going to lay it inside your cage. And you're not going to flatten this piece of wire because the upward bend in the wire is going to keep a sort of upward spring, so the floor won't sag from the weight of the rabbits as much. I usually start with my short ends, and then I move to the longer ends after that. So right here, we are cutting the door. The recommendation for door sizes is to have the bottom of the doorway 4 inches above the bottom of the cage or the floor of the cage. Once you've measured 4 inches up from the bottom, you're going to cut 12 inches across and up 11 inches on each side. Another thing that I do is to get rid of the sharp ends around the doorway. I leave about a 1/2 inch stub when I cut. I don't cut all the way flush. This is nice because I can bend them over with regular pliers and create a smooth edge. There are different things you can buy to wrap the edges around, but once I have these bent this way, I've never had any issue. It's very smooth. Once you've done that, you're going to cut a door out. And so I've cut a piece that is just slightly wider and slightly taller. That way, when it's placed inside the cage, if the rabbits push up against it, they are sealing the door even more, and it's not 100% reliant on some door latch system. Once you've done that, the only last steps are to mount your feeder and your water, and then to hang the cage. And because there are so many different feeders and waters out there, and that it's the easiest step, I leave that to you to figure out. But that's the hard part. Anything else that is left, will take you just a few seconds to install.